morning, everybody. Jill here with first video I've made in quite a while. I'm sure it's been a couple of months since I posted a video, but it's a nice cold last day of November morning here in New Jersey, and I'm feeling inspired to make another one. I don't know what the future holds for YouTube. We shall all see in January. I'm just kind of riding along with the tide. I'm going to see what happens. I did this page recently in my art journal, and I really want to do more like it, more versions of it. After I did this one here. This is Graphite, doodling with a Uniball Vision pen, and then light watercolor washes on top. I really like the negative space left of the white. There's a lot of things I like about it. I like the simplicity of the face. So today I'm going to show you how I really do a simple face with graphite to start, and then really don't do much else to it. I added a little watercolor on top of her eyes and some of the darks, and that's about it. This page is not finished. She's going to get more. She's going to get a watercolor background. She's going to get watercolor in the hair. I'm not sure if I'll show you guys that or not, but I just wanted to show you what inspired this video. So today, let me go back. This is a Strathmore watercolor pad. Strathmore 400 watercolor. I really like this paper for watercolor. But the piece I want to do today, I want to be frameable. I've got a couple of projects coming up, whether it be open an Etsy shop or there's a cafe that wants to hang some of my work. So I need to start doing some pieces that are frameable and not in my journal. So I took a piece of Arches watercolor paper. I'm not used to working on Arches. It's a better quality. I know it reacts different with the watercolor. I hope that doesn't come back to bite me today, that I'm not really used to working on it. I taped this 8x10 piece to just the old back of a watercolor pad. And my little homemade easel, which I showed you in an earlier video. And I'm going to try and work on this angle, see if it works. Now, for a reference picture, I don't know if you can see this with all the glare of the lighting. I downloaded an app called Pixabay with royalty-free images, so I don't have to feel guilty using an image off of Pinterest and feel like I'm infringing on some copyright. I like this woman. I like the shape of her scarf, the way her hair shows. I love this dark smokiness around her eyes. If you can't see this in the video, I'll check it out later. I will also just post a picture of it embedded in the video. So all I'm going to use is my Graph Gear 500 mechanical pencil. I've got a 0.7 lead in there. It's okay. I don't know why I'm using this instead of my art pencils with the different softness of lead. I don't know. This is just what I've been into lately. Kneaded eraser. And you'll find I actually do a lot of my shading now with the stump. So let me show you real simply. Okay. So I want her to pretty much fill the page. And I think sometimes I take liberty with the eyes, and I make the eyes actually bigger than they are in the picture. That's just a style choice. They might be a little too close together there. But I'm just going to show you how I simply start off this Arches watercolor paper is a little rougher texture on the surface than my sketchbook. So let's see what happens there. I'm not sure her irises are the same size. She's got a little bit of an eyelid showing. Now, since she's somewhat looking down, her eyebrows are very close down on top of her eyes. So I'm just going to do, okay. A suggestion of her pupils. No shading yet. Right now I'm just lining it out. A very simple suggestion of a nose. She doesn't have a lot of nostrils showing because she's looking down. So there's just a little hint of nostrils. There are a few things I really like about this face, and one are these. I'm not going to do it with my pencil, it'll be too harsh, but these lines that come down from her nose to define her cheeks. I'm also going to save the shading in the nose for the stump, so I don't end up with harsh lines. All right, she's got a little bit of a notch there. Now her mouth is open and her teeth are showing. I don't do teeth well. So for today, I'm just going to close her mouth. I don't like that. Let's start again. Be careful of the watercolor paper with too much erasing. You don't want to damage the surface. She has kind of a small upper lip and a bigger bottom lip. That'll be okay. Okay, she's got a very small chin. She, in the picture, probably has a narrower face, but I'm not worried about an exact replica of her face. I just use it as a reference. Now, I probably made her a little too big. It's alright, let's keep going. I made her a little bigger than I thought. There's not as much room for scarf. So here's her hair. And she has a center part that shows for a ways. And then her hair. But then the scarf comes in. So let's see, her hair comes here. Now, the scarf comes up like this and down. I'm getting some glare on my picture. I'm going to have to move it. Okay. The scarf comes down. There are so many patterns in the scarf that you really can't tell where the folds are, but some of that I can use artistic license and make it do whatever I want it to do. It's going to go off the page there at the top. It's all right. This will really fill up. I'll have it go off the bottom as well. And then it comes up. We've got a section that comes down and wraps around. I am not going to do the same pattern as in the scarf that she has in the picture. It's like a paisley print. I'm going to be doing something different, some sort of other design. This comes along her face and up like that. No, see, that's not bad. And I'll give her shoulders here and here. I'm going to add a little section here. I have to decide, okay, so that's, we want to make this look somewhat like a knot. Once again, I want it to look abstract, so I'm not too worried. There, that's a pretty good start. I am not sure about her mouth. She looks a little stern or something. Let's do something different with the... Okay. Alright, I think... Let me see if I have enough graphite down to start using my stump. We want the outside of her eyes really smoky and dark. So let's start by adding a little more in the brows. Now let's see how the Arches paper does with graphite and a stump. Alright, so start with one eye. And I'm going to pick up lots of graphite here on my blending stump. See how that just fills in your shadows? I don't even need to use a pencil on that. I'll have to watch the base of my hand smearing across there. I'll start pulling these shadows up for under her hair. It's a little too heavy, so I'll go back in with my eraser and soften it up a little. Not much to say in this part. Just working out my shading. I will go back, I'm sure, and add more graphite to the darkest places. I'm not liking this under her eye here. Could take that out. Now, the most interesting part is I love shading the nose this way. So it's really kind of light around her nostrils. And if you, that section I just did that right there, if you do that too dark, it looks harsh. But let's just keep going. You can always take off where you put too much. So the underside of her nose is shaded. And then to give a little bit of shape, I just come up around the side. And it does not take a lot of shading to give a nose a shape. That's about it, right there. Okay. I was right. I don't like the texture of the graphite on the Arches paper. I would like to try it on maybe like my Fabriano hot press, but the watercolor goes on that so poorly that, you know, it's a toss-up. Which do I want? The smooth surface for the graphite or the beautiful paper for the watercolor? Okay, so you can see how fast now we have a face going here. Okay. I'm okay with that. I think I'm going to do a little series. The next video, I might do water-soluble graphite, which is just a different way of blending. Instead of using this stump, I'm using a paintbrush and water. And it might be a lot better on this paper because it will fill in all that texture with the water. Now see, I don't like that harsh of a line there. Let me see if I can soften that out. But I'm going to be doodling that part with my Uniball pen. So let's see. She needs a little more definition in here. I'm going to darken just those little two spots of nostril, the lip line, add a little bit of dark here. I don't know how dark to go under her neck. In the picture, it's extremely dark. But if the graphite gets too heavy and too much, it starts looking, I don't know how to explain it, muddy or dirty. There, we'll go with the dark shadow there. All right. Let me turn this around. I don't know if I've actually drawn the actual face on a video recently. Probably not. I often like to do this part off camera. Okay. Now, I'm not going to use any fixative on it yet, because I don't know, once I put in all of my doodling, how I'm going to feel. If I'm going to add more shading. I mean, workable fixative is exactly that, it's workable, but I just like to leave it raw until I'm all done. So, this is hair here, so I'm going to take out some of that graphite. Next, I'm going to doodle specifically her hair. I love making line work. Where is, here it is, my Uniball Vision pen. I hope it's not running out of ink. I have several of these. A couple of them I did run out of ink. Here, Uniball Vision. It's got the little window. Fine. You can pick this up. Waterproof, fade proof. You can pick this up at any stationery store, drugstore, Walmart. They're inexpensive. It's one of my favorites. I use it all the time. I'm going to start doodling here, real time, but in a matter of minutes, I'm going to put on some music on the record player, get into the zone. I will speed that part up so you don't have to watch all of the doodling. it's meditative for me. I actually like to do it on the sofa a lot, not necessarily here at my art table. So her hair kind of disappears down into here. I don't really like doing this outside edge first. I should stop doing that and start building from in the center. Lines are pretty random. I just want her hair to be flowing. Okay, so my doodling is all done, I think. I'm planning on leaving this one white area as the negative space, white space, whatever you want to call it. White space isn't always white, but this time it will be. Now, when you are finished, it's up to you if you want to erase all of the pencil lines. They don't really bother me. They add a little bit of interest and a little bit of texture. I think if I erase too much, it gets too clean and illustratory looking. The other thing you have to do is make sure your ink is completely dry, or you really risk smearing your doodling all around, and that's pretty much a disaster when that happens. So I think I'll stop right there, and we'll move on to the watercolor section. So let me put my pen away. I think I wonder if I should sign it right now. I think I'm going to sign it right now before I go any further. There we go. Sign and date. I can get rid of my drawing utensils, my pen, my kneaded eraser, at least for the time being. So, I'm trying to fill out my palette. And I tried to buy some purples, and I have way too many colors within this range here. So I have Ivory Black, Shadow Violet, Moonglow, Perylene Violet, and Rose of Ultramarine. Well, that's not really in the range. But then I bought these new ones, Lunar Black, Sugar Light Genuine, and Amethyst Genuine, and they're all so similar. I was disappointed. But some of them are beautiful granulating colors. And I like the fact that they're not bright. I don't know what to call them. So I'm going to use a lot of those. Since they're slightly different shades of the same color, I'm probably going to use these 5 right here. Let's see what happens. I also like to put some sort of brown in the hair. The last picture I did was the transparent brown oxide. I often use the Quinn Deep Gold for hair as well. And I also have yellow ochre, but I'll probably go, let's try the transparent brown oxide. Alright. Now, I don't know if this brush is too big. Let's try it. This is a 16. It comes to a nice point though. It's a nice soft. It's a 16 round master's touch. So I'm gonna start with the hair. My last big decision, and I'm glad to get this on film, is about her face. Do I leave it 100% graphite, or do I go in? I really like the graphite versus the pale watercolors with the doodling, but I think her eyes might need a little more drama. So I'm going to take a very small brush and some of the Lunar Black. Let's see. And I want a nice, I apologize for the dog barking next door. There's nothing I can do about it. There's a little bit of wet stuff there I don't want to get my hand in. Alright, so I've got a nice thick Lunar Black. And I'm just going to first get some excess water off so it doesn't drip. I'm going to go over her eyes. I'm going to have to do something now with her eyebrows as well. Alright, I'm going to put a little tiny bit in the darkest there, and there, and there, and try and stop. Now, I'm going to rinse out my brush, make it pretty dry, and I'm going to soften some of that up a little. You rinse it again, dry it off. Okay. So that does leave her eyebrows needing something. I can't leave them that pale. I'm just softening up some of that watercolor. So my question is, do I do her eyebrows in the black or in the brown? I think it's going to have to be brown. And I've got some of this brown left over here. I'm going to use this small brush. That's too much, isn't it? What do you think? now I'm getting carried away with the watercolor. I'm thinking, let's go with this is a tiny brush. Well, alright, I'll stick with the tiny brush. I'm going to grab a little bit of that. I think that's the Perylene Violet. Just tint her lips a little. back, soften the edges. I think she's done. Let's pull the tape.